Our gold medal team this year had a combined total of 133 placing points, 230 fish points, and 320 fish caught, making their way to the stage as the 36th FIPS Mouche World Fly Fishing Championship gold medal team.
I don't know what it is specifically about fly fishing that keeps me going back. But there's something different about holding a rod in your hand and figuring out a way to make a fish eat a fly. When you're connected to a fish, you feel like you're connected to everything.
I think anglers are connected to the water because water is the essence of life. It feeds the fish and the bugs and the plants. And being close to nature brings ultimate peace for a lot of people.
And the thing is, if we weren't fly fishing, if we weren't in these competitions, we wouldn't be here. And seeing different parts of the world from this perspective is just amazing. So we're very lucky as anglers. We get to see so many sights that most people would never normally see. We see fantastic bird life, we see great animal life, we see fantastic wildlife all over the world. And it's because we fish. And you are sort of one with your environment as well.
There's no better place than perhaps on a river searching for trout that allows you to disconnect from all the technologies of the world and enjoy what's around you. Hello, my name is John Knight, the international organizer of the 36th FIPS Mouche World Fly Fishing Championship. Why do the World Fly Fishing Championships? My wife Jody and I, frankly, were told it can't come to the U.S. It's too expensive. It's going to be too hard for teams. There's too much private water. It's going to be too hard to put it all together. And frankly, for no reason other than climbing that mountain because it's here, we started off on that mission.
I'm Barry Davis with the Commission on Special Events for the Town of Vail. We work to bring programming and events to town, and first began working with John and Jody several years ago when they approached us with their vision to bring the World Fly Fishing Championships to Vail. For several years, they've been able to demonstrate their ability to host and produce world-class, top-notch events, bringing elite athletes to town. They were able to do that for the America's Cup and for the junior event, and gave us complete confidence on partnering with them for the World Championships.
Once we got the championship, it was a moment that made us say we have to have not just our A game, our A+ game.
As a U.S. organizer, I went first to the Czech Republic to the 34th World Fly Fishing Championship. There we learned the scoring process, the draw, and the behind-the-scenes work to make the event successful. The following year we went to Bosnia and again attended the World Championship to prepare for the U.S. After these two events, we brought back the pros and cons, some lessons learned, and then set out to set up our championship here in the United States.
So once the team started signing up, we really had to figure out the best way to showcase Vail in the U.S. as the greatest place to win championships has been.
Bringing the event back to American soil after 2 decades was really exciting to the town of Vail. It made it especially compelling.
An event this size is only as good as the volunteers we get. We had over 200 volunteers to make this event successful. Of that, over 90 of those people actually flew in from out of state to participate.
John and Jody think through everything. So there was a plan for every layer of the event, whether it was the administration of the actual competition and how volunteers would be staged and work to, to have a smooth competition, but also to the experience that the attendees would have. John built out a whole smartphone application so that people had all the information they needed at their fingertips. Those are the sorts of details that I think made this experience for anglers and coaches and managers and guests from around the world something that they're going to remember forever.
Having the championship of the United States certainly set some of the teams on edge. The top teams, Czech Republic, France, Team USA, Team Spain, started putting together dream teams, bringing people out of retirement just to be part of a team to travel to the United States and fish on the iconic trout waters of the American West. People always say, competitive fly fishing is like Bass Pro and they're not into it. Well, there's no money involved. This is all based on the Olympic ideal, the Olympic spirit, sportsmanship, camaraderie, and certainly the gold, silver, and bronze medals. Well, a team's made up of 8 members, 5 competitors, a reserve, a captain, and a manager. Those 5 competitors are then broken up into 5 groups. Those 5 groups then become groups A, B, C, D, and E, and they then fish as a group on sectors 1 through 5, one at a time. So you have 5 sessions in which each group will fish each sector one time for a 3-hour session. Anglers get 100 points a fish and 20 points a centimeter. A minimum scoring fish is 20 centimeters. 20 times 20 is 400. 100 points a fish is 500. So the minimum scoring fish is 500 points. It's better in an event of this style to catch many fish than just a few big fish. A championship needs to have 5 competitive venues to fish. For Colorado, we wanted to showcase our rivers more than the lakes, so we have 4 rivers and 1 lake. We fished the Eagle twice because it's so nice, the Colorado River, the Blue River, and Sylvan Lake.
Colorado waters are pretty full of fish. I mean, there's fish spread out throughout the entire venues for the most part. So there's a nice equitable distribution of fish, which in some countries you don't always get. Sure, there's going to be some areas where there's less fish, but we think it's going to be a pretty fair competition across the board. Everyone's going to have a chance to catch some beautiful fish as well.
You want the watershed to represent Colorado, the U.S., and really what trout fishing is about. So for us to have the Colorado River, which is long, featureless for the most part, and wide, 80 to 100 and 120 yards wide, provides an immense amount of water for an angler. It seems like a big blank canvas, as opposed to the Eagle, which has tons of rocks. It's a little bit shallower, there's a lot of structure, and the fish are hiding, in the front, behind every rock. Classic freestone trout water. The Blue River is dam fed and was running at almost 800 CFS, which made it almost impossible to cross. So you then have a deep, fast-flowing river with a lot of structure and boulders, but much more difficult to wade. And so that provides a real challenge and a real variety of water that certainly showcases our watershed.
The features of the river, Eagle Upper versus Eagle Lower, were very different venues. And then certainly you go to the Colorado, to the Blue, and to Sylvan. Not only are you in different surroundings, your approach to the competition strategy changes. The bugs change, the behavior of the fish changes from if you have it first session or if you have it 6th session. if you've got it in the morning or the afternoon.
The timing of the championship in the U.S. was certainly September. The pressure's off the water, fall colors are changing, we had the aspens turning yellow, and it couldn't be a better time. With the water being cooler and pre-spawn, it's just a perfect time as the fish are hungry, the seasons are changing, and it just showcases Colorado as best as it can be.
Okay, I've been fishing World Championships since 1989. So I fished a lot of places, from Slovakia to Poland to Australia, lots and lots of different places in the world. And so far we've experienced great rivers and great lakes here. So this could be right up there with the best in the world.
Once the teams were selected by January and submitted through their application, teams flew over 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks early just to prepare, acclimate for the event.
The altitude throws in another component that anglers have to be prepared for. And so a lot of these teams came in a couple weeks early, not only to get to know the waters, but to acclimate.
The altitude has been a problem, isn't it? Yeah. You know, it's taken a while to realise that if you take 10 steps forward fast, you're out of breath.
I always talk about the grind of the event. We're up at 5 a.m. for breakfast. These buses leave at 7 a.m. sharp. In that amount of time, you have to rest, prepare yourself to fish on the water for that 3 hours, to transfer, rest again, fish that evening, come back, meet with your team, trade information, tie flies to prepare you for that next day, get to sleep, and get up at 5 a.m. and do it again. We do that for 3 days straight, and that's the true grind of the championship. People have to prepare themselves mentally and physically to be here at this level.
So we're up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we won't see another team member maybe till the afternoon. So you're out there on your own. It's a World Championships, you're fishing against the best anglers in the world. And then of an evening, after your second session, you might not come back to the hotel till 10, 11 o'clock sometimes. So over the course of the day, it's such a long day, and I don't think a lot of people realise how much work and preparation goes into just one day, let alone the 3 or the whole World Championships itself.
During the first day of the event, all the attendees show up for registration. They get nice swag bags, which are gifts and things from our sponsors and various supporters. And then we have our first formal captain's meeting. That captain's meeting is where we go over transportation and some of the nuances of the event, and then we do the draw. The draw is then where we take all the teams' names and pull them randomly out of the hat to then assign them to groups as well as their beats.
So the first 2 days of practice are actually kind of laid back. It's final details. It's making sure our sector teams are out on their sectors, not only practice sectors, but competition sectors, making sure they know the venue, they know any sort of issues they might encounter and how they're going to strategize around those. The run-up to the competition is madness, and then when the week finally opens, it's showtime.
Good morning out there. This is Wheeze on 97.7 True Local Radio, The Zephyr, coming to you live on another beautiful day here in the Vail Valley. The weather is absolutely perfect for the World Fly Fishing Championships that are set to get underway this morning, with the top anglers in the world converging on our local lakes and rivers.
One of the nuances with the U.S. event is that the championship water was all on private land and was not able to be previewed by the anglers.
Anglers don't find out where they're fishing until they're on the bus headed to the venue. They know which venue they're headed to, but they don't know which beat.
So you have now a scenario where these top anglers come in, they're familiar with, say, the Colorado River, but they haven't seen the 3 miles of the river in which we're competing on. All of a sudden, they're walking to the water, they're reading the water. They have to decide what type of method to fish: dry fly, streamer, nymphet. And so in a championship event where losing a fish can cost you a medal, you're already on the lightweight rod with the lightest line possible. And you add all of that up, light line, light tackle, teeny flies, bigger fish, you have to land it. It couldn't be more intense and more stressful. So you need to get that first fish on. first couple days, the teams were all spread on the scoring, and as it came down to it, we had a three-way event between the U.S., France, and Spain.
Day 3, game faces are on. People know that the World Championship's on the line, and you could see that loading buses Friday morning. And it was really going to come down to those last 2 sessions and how people fished what were now pressured waters. As we were getting scores coming in, there were U.S. competitors placing first, there were Spanish competitors placing first, and there were French competitors placing first, depending on which sector you were looking at. The results were ping-ponging, so it wasn't clear that someone was jumping way out in front.
The last session of the event, it was tied between France and Spain. They were fishing next to each other, and we could see from there who would win the championship.
You could tell that it was going to be a dogfight.
It's a good day for war.
Even as the results were being processed by FIPS, we didn't know what the results were. And everyone was waiting outside the scoring room to see what the medal stand would look like.
At the end of this championship, 3,994 fish were caught and measured and released. That is a great number for 3 days of fishing. Even at that number, this event came down to 1, 2, 3 fish.
As an organizer, you can say this came down to each fish. Every fish counted. That's, you can't ask for anything more.
Our gold medal team this year had a combined total of 133 placing points, 230 fish points, and 320 fish caught, making their way to the stage as the 36th FIPS Mouche World Fly Fishing Championship gold medal team, Team Spain. Welcome to the podium.
The strategies were not homogeneous throughout the competition. They had to shift. And you saw, particularly the Spanish team, they took their intel from day one, and you could see them in the scores reflect them putting that to use in the subsequent sessions, and the team who did that best came out on top.
We had individual winners of France, Spain, US, followed by the team gold going to Spain, closely followed by France, and then third place bronze medal going to Team USA.
At the end of the day, this is not only about showcasing the Vail Valley and what it has to offer people who like to fish, but it's about promoting and protecting the resource. Give those who are advocating every day on behalf of those issues a stage, on which to promote their message. And so the symposium was great in that regard. We had a good turnout.
That is then followed by an awards banquet, which was preceded by a Derek the Young art show. We then have a wonderful seated banquet where we thank all of our sponsors, our volunteers, and those that made the event possible. One of the highlights of that were a couple of performances by the Denver Broncos cheerleaders. When the dust settled, the event got 2 thumbs up and was a great success. The weather was favorable and held. All of the rivers produced fish. The volunteers showed up, and certainly the food and transportation and lodging were all incredible. So when we put everything together with our ceremonies, the watershed, all of our supporters, we certainly showcased the best the U.S. has to offer in fly fishing.
Along with bringing world-class events to Vail, we are responsible for preserving this world-class watershed and the nature that surrounds our town. Green initiatives are important to the fabric of our town and parallel to the mission of the FIPS Mouche World Championships.
And so this became a forum for area watershed organizations, the Denver Water Board, Trout Unlimited, to come in and speak to an international audience about issues of water conservation and protecting trout and other species.
All the anglers that attended this event were not only ambassadors for their countries, but stewards for the watershed. And just like those skiing on Vail Mountain or those fishing at the base of the mountain, we all have to be stewards to ensure these resources are for here today and tomorrow.